Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10 Minute Tea Discussion podcast, where I, Nora, your host, will break some exciting news from Southeast Asia, a small but fast-growing region in the Asian continent. Now, let's stream into our 15th episode, breaking into PR entry-level roles in the age of AI. For this episode, it's my great honor to have the participation of our today guest, Christel Goh, the founder of Grow Public Relations, sharing her viewpoints about the AI future of PR entry-level jobs. Welcome to the show, Christel. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Nora?
I'm doing fine too, thank you. So, Christel, I believe with years of experience in PR and communications, you have witnessed several shifts in this field. And recently, with the strong emergence of AI across the economy, it has transformed how we conduct daily tasks in communications. Primarily, the repetitive one, like media monitoring, is now partially or sometimes fully taken over by AI tools. And impacts like this are becoming both massive and deepening, up to the extent that we cannot overlook. So my first question is that with AI tools becoming more integrated into communication workflows, which traditional entry-level PR skills do you think are becoming less relevant and which are becoming even more critical?
Mm,
How do you currently see AI reshaping day-to-day responsibility of junior PR professionals in your team or your company?
okay. So I think on this question of, AI tools becoming more integrated and which skills are becoming more critical, mm, I feel that AI is a tool that people think is going to replace jobs.
Mm,
Uh, but in my perspective, it actually makes your flaws a lot more obvious.
mm,
So if you do not exercise that critical thinking in your work, it becomes very, very obvious, which
mm,
is why there is a lot more noise nowadays in terms of content being pushed out. We see
mm,
jokes about how certain posters or visuals look exactly the same, look very like ChatGPT and stuff like that.
mm,
And I think that is where PR comes in
mm,
because we are known to be storytellers,
mm,
right? And our ability to exercise that judgment is extremely important in today's age. Of course, there will be more administrative tasks that requires more hands and legs that you can get your AI tools to do, or even various tech tools out there, right? Like, for
mm,
example, in the past, we used to keep individual Excel sheets of media contacts, like
mm,
the names, the email addresses of the editors and journalists, and it was such private information that you cannot, send to other agency people. But now there are subscription tools out there that allow you to have access to this information. So these are just some of the differences, right?
mm,
Um, However, I do think that with AI, that our critical thinking ability needs to be heightened, needs to be sharpened, especially for junior PR professionals coming
mm,
into
mm,
it,
mm, mm.
right? Mm.
Okay, so you just mentioned that our critical thinking need to be heightened, and it is very important for any like juniors or newcomers getting into this PR industry. But I also have this kind of question that when we spend more time on tool like AI, we have to accept that the time we spend on other tools or on other skills that essential, like genuine human content creation and maybe a bit of critical thinking can diminish. So
Mm.
for newcomers whose skills haven't been exposed to the real working environment, if they use or are forced to use AI up to some extent while working on their tasks, is there a possibility that they will gradually lose their genuine creativity, critical thinking that are yet to kickstart?
Mm. I think this is a very real concern. And for myself, because I run a PR
Mm,
agency, a boutique PR team in Singapore, my head of PR has also been having like debates with
mm,
me. I'm pro AI. I want everybody to use AI.
mm,
And her concern is that, you know, once we get that in, they're just going to be like using it too much. They're not going to use their brains much.
Mm,
And that is a real issue because I think from time to time, we see the output of AI that it's not the best,
mm,
right? You know that it is AI, and you know that the problem is not that it looks AI. The problem is that we know that there is not enough thought and care that is put into that piece of
mm,
work. And that is why it triggers people,
mm,
right? So in that sense, I do think that like young people coming into the industry, they need to go through that rigor of the work,
mm,
right? When I think about myself coming into the industry like 15 years ago, I did not understand many of the things that I was doing,
mm,
even though it was very menial, like flipping newspapers and getting your hands
mm,
very dirty and stuff like that. I did not understand it at that point. But when I look back now, I realized that those things that were really, really small taught me
mm.
very important lessons. Yeah.
Agree.
So I do think that it's important for juniors to go through that rigor of the work and then
Mm,
to see how AI can support them.
mm,
Yeah, but it shouldn't replace our critical abilities, as I
mm,
was saying. Yeah.
mm. Okay. So you mentioned that any junior enter the industry need to go through like legal work to get their hand dirty, to get the nuances of this industry. So I don't want to say unfortunately, but we have to accept the fact that the young generation, they enter a PR world that have the existence of AI. So it means they have to somehow learn to make their hand dirty, but also learn to integrate AI because it becoming a new norm in their like workplace right now. So how should they balance learning AI tools with developing core skills like storytelling, media relations, and crisis communication? I mean, should they learn it in a traditional way, get their hand dirty, and then to some extent they try to adopt AI along the way? Or should they learn both side by side?
Yeah, I think, you know, you cannot expect people to live in a world where there's no AI,
Mm,
right? Everybody's going to use it at the end of the day. And in fact, like companies should encourage like their team members to use it, whether you're junior or senior. But maybe what needs to happen is that training in how to ask the right questions,
mm,
right? And what it means to deliver a good piece of work that
mm,
you really put in a lot of thought and care for,
mm,
right? Such that every word, every sentence has a meaning and impact that you can defend,
mm,
right? The problem is when when someone who is junior uses AI to churn out a piece of work and they probably don't even know what was created. They
mm,
can't defend the rationale for each of these things. That is when you know that it's an issue,
mm,
right? So we have to use AI, but potentially for employers, for leaders, there is a need to train the younger generation to be able to ask the right questions.
mm.
Mm.
Okay, one last question from me, Crystal. If you could give one piece of advice to graduates entering PR in an AI-driven landscape, what mindset or capability will make them stand out in the long term and co-working well with AI?
Yeah. I think maybe that aspect is to ask ourselves, what is our Z?
Mm,
You know, with AI, everybody's work can look the same, right?
mm,
And that's
mm,
where you fall into that trap of like zigging with everybody else.
mm,
But if we constantly ask ourselves, what is this zag? Not just in the way that we present ourselves when we go for
mm,
interviews, but in every piece of work that we do,
mm,
what is the value that we are creating here?
yes.
If we ask ourselves that, then maybe that can challenge us to push ourselves and break through that negative perception of what AI produces. I mean,
Mm,
this is something I'm learning myself as well.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, really, really appreciate. I agree that in a world where like AI can have its place nearly like in every single perspective of our life, not just at work, I believe that the output can look very similar. And I agree that the very key point that help each product, each output very outstanding is that the creator really ask themselves what value that they are creating here. And yes, through this, they have to push themselves, put their heart into it, emotion, personal thought, and definitely there will be some breakthrough while having AI to assist their work. So, Christel, that was a very long but nice chat with you. It's really my pleasure to have you here with me today. Thank you so much for your viewpoints, and I hope we'll have chances to talk again. I wish you all the best to come.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you. Take care.
Yes, thank you so much, and
Bye.
bye. So that's the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and found the news interesting. For your convenient reference to further details of the news I mentioned, please find the links to my blog page in the description, where I have compiled all the related information. If you have any questions, or you want to discuss more on what I shared today, please leave your comments below. I would love to talk to each of you more as well. You can search for more episodes of this 10-minute C discussion podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and my own blog page. Thank you for listening to today's episode all the way to the end. And I hope to see you again in my next episode of 10-minute C discussion, which will be released soon. Once again, this is Nora, your host. Thank you so much and goodbye.